if you marry the most beautiful partner in the world, then you're going to have to spend more energy managing the competition, right? Because there's going to be a lot of people interested in associating themselves with the most beautiful partner in the world. If you have the most money in the world, you have to invest a lot more in your moat, in your walls, because energy, value, wants, if you take away all the defenses, then the money gets evenly distributed. If you don't expend effort to protect the gap between you and 99% of the people around you, the gap narrows, right? People who need money take your money in a paradigm of scarcity, right? And it is important to understand in this context that we do not have the competency on the planet today to meet every human being's needs. Now, we have the energy, we have the resources, we have the physical technology, but we do not have the biological and psychological competency to meet every person's needs on the planet. The need for survival. There are people dying every year from easily treatable and preventable deaths. We lack the ethical competency to prevent those deaths. Survival. Security of survival. More than half of the planet feels insecure mentally, emotionally, physically, socially, and financially about their survival. What if someone finds out this secret about me? What if I lose my job? What if I get sick? Security. Half of the planet feels insecure about their survival. Love and belonging. More than 70% of the population regularly feel lonely, separate, misunderstood, not sure if people will have their back, not fully understanding other people and not feeling fully understood, not being seen clearly, not having a deep sense of love and belonging, not feeling like they belong. I come here, I do this, but I don't really think anyone would miss me if I was gone. I don't really belong. Self-esteem. A lot of people don't like themselves. Understanding and developing personal talent. There are a lot of people just getting by doing mediocre grunt work. I do what I have to do. It's adequate not to get fired, but I don't know what my specific talents are. I'm not interested in that. Nobody else is interested in what my talents are, and they're certainly not being actively developed in my daily life. So that need isn't met either. Bringing my talent into the world abundantly, creating abundance of value for myself and other people, is also not met by a majority of people. And letting that abundance wash over me like sunshine on a budding blossom, and experiencing transcendence, the need to be a part of something bigger than myself. The vast majority of people feel a sense of transcendence less than 5% of the time. I had this one moment where I felt part of it all. It was beautiful and I was in love. And then she dumped me, right? I've never felt it again for 20 years, right? 5% of the time. A small percentage of people feel transcendent. And these are our human needs. So there's enough water for every human being to meet all of their human needs. There's enough salt. There's enough electricity. There's enough land. There's enough food. There's enough books. There's enough bodies. There's enough cars. There's enough farms. We have everything we need to meet all of our human needs 90% of the time or more, but we lack the competency to do so. And in the gap between longing for our needs to be fulfilled, longing to fulfill our needs, and the pain, right? The gap between longing to fulfill our needs and needing them and our reality, having chronic unmet needs most of the time, we feel pain. And the pain is intense enough that we are afraid of it. I don't want to feel that pain again. That pain terrifies me. I look at the chasm between where I am and where I want to be, and it terrifies me. It's painful. I don't want to be there. I don't want to feel it. I want to drink something. I want to eat something. I want to do something that pushes that pain away because I don't know what I'm doing, and no one around me does either, right? There's that person that seems to be, obviously a minority, seems to have it together, that knows what their talents are, that is happy, that likes themselves. I have no idea how they got to be that way. They said, do yoga. I tried it. It didn't change anything for me. I just feel confused. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Right? So when that gap is big, when the pain is high, when the fear of pain is higher, then when there's a little bit of money, often a symbol for meeting our needs, when there's a little bit of sex, when there's a little bit of beauty, when there's a little bit of feeling good, everyone wants it. They're hungry for it because they don't know how to create it for themselves. They don't know how to create it for themselves because they're members of an incompetent cult that doesn't know how to create it for their people, right? A cult is a recipe of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being. It's a set of memes, a set of recipes, and it produces a certain result, right? 77% of Americans are chronically lonely. That's a byproduct of a series of thoughts, feelings, actions, purchases, habits, right? A pattern of thinking, feeling, speaking, doing, and being that is inherited by the cult. We can count on that as a relatively stable or increasing number, because being raised in the American cult did that before, and now it does it again, and now it does it even more as we accentuate, as we escalate certain habits that predictably create loneliness, which means less people are meeting their needs for love and belonging. So, if there's scarcity, there's pain. If there's intense pain, there's fear of pain. If there's fear of pain, the reptilian brain comes online with its fight, flight, and freeze protocols, as well as and tries to get what it can't create. You've got a nice sandwich over there. I don't know how to do that, but I know how to go and get your sandwich and eat it. Now you don't have a sandwich and I do, right? And this is where the deterioration into a reptilian social ecology is always kind of threatening, right? Because if you have incompetent people in pain and afraid of that pain, and then a few competent people or a few sociopathic people that manage to take what other people don't know how to get for themselves, then you have to guard it, right? You have to spend energy, because if you are one of the competent people who know how to meet your needs, then everyone wants to have some of it from you. They want you to do it for them because they don't know how to do it. Can you do that? Read that book for me and tell me what to do. I don't know how to do that. You're such a good book reader. Take this math test for me, right? I don't know how to do it. And I don't know how to want to do it, because I don't want to do it either, right? Because it's not that difficult, right? You get to do this, you show up on time, you do this, you can make some money too. Yeah, I don't know. All seems kind of pointless to me. I don't even know how to want to do what needs to be done to meet this need. I just want someone else to do it for me. Stay a child, right? I'm holding out for the perfect parent who's going to finally come along, say, I'm so sorry for all these decades of mediocrity and suffering. Here is everything you ever wanted in the way that you wanted it, with me just being totally at your service. And the little child and every person says, oh, wonderful, I've been waiting my whole life for you, right? But then all the other hungry children all around in the neighborhood say, what about me? Will you give me everything I want? And then quickly the crisis erupts, because we have too much incompetence relative to competence. And not enough people with the skill to respond to that situation. I mean, when you have very incompetent people, they lack the competence to respond to their incompetence. Right? They may know enough to know that they're ignorant, but they don't know enough to know how to become knowledgeable, to know the habits, the patterns that would create massive amounts of competence. So then you who are competent have to spend more energy fending off the onslaught of the impoverished and incompetent who want what you have that they need and don't know how to create for themselves, right? So there's a cost. That means if you're incredibly famous, people want some of that attention. They want it from you. There's a cost to being famous. You get approached whether you want to be approached or not. There's a cost to being wealthy. People want your money. There's a cost to being the best in the world at surgery. You have frightened billionaires hiring private detectives to literally wake you up at night and saying, I'll give you anything, just come and treat my son now. Well, I'm sleeping. You're not sleeping anymore. We've already woken you up. Just make a few million and come and do the surgery, right? You'll kill my son if you don't come right. So there's a cost. And there's a cost to becoming the best. Right? If you're trying to become the best surgeon, your friends are always inviting you out to play Pong or jump in the nearest lake and get drunk. You got to say no. I'm becoming an excellent surgeon. I'm studying bits of paper and correlating things and practicing this and watching videos. To get really, really good at something generally means there's other things that you're terrible at. I am the best historian in the world, meaning I do nothing but sit around and read history books from all over the world. Well, how good at you at cooking? Well, I don't have time for that. How good are you at dancing? Never tried it, right? How good are you at this, right? Because if you're really, really good at something, statistically speaking, you're not good at other things. Now, if you're highly gifted, right? If things just come easy to you, oh, I learned that, I've got a photographic memo, right? And so now you're getting more money or you're getting this, then the cost may be envy. Or you have to go out of your way to tend the envy, right? Because everyone wants what you have. If you want to rise in the top public company, right? So the wealthiest companies in the world are going to be publicly traded, right? Because that's where most of the money is. So if you want to be, at the top of a Google or something else, you've got to manage your image in order to stay at the top in a very image-based culture more than most people. You have to say things like, yes, I would enjoy that performance, but I cannot be seen at that performance. Why? Well, it's not what a majority of shareholders would like to see. Okay? So now you can't go to the show you want to go. Or you have to make extra efforts to have it filmed for you and then watch it secretly at home. So now you've got to keep secrets, right? Okay, you get to watch the show, but now nobody can know that I'm watching this show, right? Publicly, I'm anti this, but privately, I'm doing this, right? So you have to have a bigger partition. Then you have to remember which side of the partition you are, which takes energy. For you to be right here at this moment has a high price. You can't be anywhere else. You're here watching this, which means you're not doing and you're not watching every other thing that you could possibly do. You're paying a 99.9% price to take your probability field down to this actual moment. If someone is the best lover you have ever experienced by a factor of 7, boy, it's harder to let them go. If you're deeply in a relationship, when the part of you dies that was formed in relationship with that other person because they left or they died, the grief is more intense. More of you dies when they leave. If you have many shallow relationships, a diversified portfolio, you don't experience the complete depth of commitment with anything. Yeah, I've got 20 of friends like that. No big deal. I'll just spend time with someone else, right? Yeah, I had 1,000 stocks. One of them went down by 80%. Who cares? Another one went up. Versus I had all my money in that stock. And my dreams and my futures are dying. Or I had all my money in that stock. It went up 16,000%. And wow, like all my dreams are becoming true, right? There's a cost to diversification. There's a cost to complete and utter commitment in one thing. If I lay around and do nothing, it feels pretty relaxed. But the price is I may not get anything done. if I talk about the affair, I will have a chance at reestablishing trust and intimacy and understanding and real love. But at the cost of 5 days of heartbreaking emotional crisis and uncertainty, or of ending a long relationship. Nothing is free. You go on a free vacation. Now we ask you to watch this little video about the benefits of timeshares. You can't be out of the beach. No, that was part of the deal. Supersize that. Free fries. But now you're fat. You didn't study, you partied in school, but now you're the last to be picked in the top companies, right? Nothing is free. You're particularly good looking. So a lot of people lie to you to have sex with you. Oh, don't worry about that. Here, just have sex with me, right? And so you don't develop as an emotionally mature, healthy person. You stay a princess or a prince. You stay a child with people willing to bribe you. You get everything but the most important thing. You don't grow up into an adult and you don't see the world clearly. You're an addict and you get to bury your pain day after day while other people are dealing with it. But everyone around you knows that your loyalty lies with your addiction, not with them. And they feel separate from you. You don't feel it or notice it that much because the drug fills in the void. So it was easier, but then with hedonic adaptation and either destruction or separation from the addiction, now it's harder. Right? You didn't expose yourself to chemicals, but you've now got to swat the mosquitoes by hand. Extra health benefits, extra effort. Nothing is free. Everything has a cost. And the cost objectively is always equal to the value. Subjectively, your job is to pay for things that give you more value than that which you're giving up. If you give up watching Facebook to go for a run and you value vitality and exercise more, you've made a good investment. If you're an Olympic medalist training 8 hours a day in isolation because everyone's going to distract you, then giving up 20 minutes of training to go online and chat with a few people could be more valuable than the complete discipline and isolation of singular focus. But it might cost you the gold medal, and you'd end up with silver. When you take a sprinkler, when you take a water jet and you focus it, right? You have those little hose nozzles, and they say shower and jet and flat and full. If you concentrate the water into one area, it washes away the mud much more quickly, but in a much smaller area. It only touches a few square inches, and the rest doesn't get any water at all. If you put all your love and attention into one child, then all the other children feel neglected and inferior and assume there's something wrong with them. If you give your love equally to all your children, you have to maintain the deception that you like them all and feel comfortable with them all the exact same amount, which is never the case. If you're willing to lie and cheat, you can have more hotter sex. But you can't have the love that is based on into me you see, which is incompatible with lies. If you spend your days cuddling your girlfriend, you're not attending to the paperwork. If you spend your days watching movies, you're not reading the classics. If you're reading the classics, you're not watching movies. Objectively, it's all equal. Personally, there is a series of trade-offs based on the imbalance of your identity. That generally, as you move towards the center, as you move towards grace, generally speaking, your well-being will go up. Here's your center. Here's the pendulum swing, right? Depending on where you are on a continuum in a given pendulum, right, a given dimension, as you move from the extreme left towards the center, your grace, your balance, your well-being will increase as you move towards the center. Your well-being will go up. You can miss the mark. Swinging from one extreme often swings to the other as it finds the center. As you make trade-offs that take you to the center, you're all work and no play, you're all play and no work. As you move to the center, as a general rule, your well-being will go up. But it is in context. If you've spent 20 years being a workaholic, you may need to spend 10 years finding your whim in order to reach your center. If you spent one day being a workaholic, you might spend one day playing, right? It's in the context of your life that you find center. At the center is the point of grace. It's the point that is natural. A pendulum doesn't have to work to find the center. It's the point of rest, the point of ease, the point of grace. As it gets pushed this way, it'll swing back this way and come back to center. That's life, that's nature. Although everything has a price, and objectively the price is always equal to what is received. For you as a given person, in a given context of asymmetries, of imbalances and extreme past experiences, The price is when you pay time, money, and natural resources to become more extreme. You're already a workaholic, and you take some of the money from your workaholism to take a course on how to be more efficient. You're becoming more extreme, and your well-being will deteriorate, even though it was a fair price. Whereas if you're playing and partying all the time, and you invest some time in the same course and you move down towards where you're only partying half of the time, beginning to make progress, paying off your credit cards and all that, and then spend some more energy to come down and pay off that fully and do a little bit more the other side to create a cushion, right? That will bring about well-being. So your personal subjective experience will be that even though everyone's paying a similar price for something, if I'm here, I'm not everywhere else. And if you're here, you're not everywhere else. But for me, being here could be the most important investment of my life. And for you, it could be an additional element of toxicity for the simple reason that you've been doing that kind of thing for too much, right? You've been eating potatoes every day for 30 years. And a little bit of fish would be heavenly, right? Because you're going to move to center.